Listen to me. I need you to hear this from the bottom of my heart. Life is not supposed to be easy. Stop expecting it to be smooth. Stop expecting it to be comfortable. Because the truth is, the hardest seasons of your life are the very seasons that are shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for greatness. Everybody wants success, but nobody wants the struggle that builds it. You asking, how do I keep going when life gets hard? And I'm telling you, the same way a lion hunts when it's starving, the same way a mother protects her child when there's danger. You don't stop because it's hard. You keep going because stopping is not an option. Let me be real with you. Pain is part of the process. Setbacks are part of the story. I know you're tired. I know you're hurt. I know sometimes you look at life and you say, oh, why me? But I came here to tell you, don't you dare quit. Don't you dare give up on your dream, your family, your future. Because if you push through the pain, you will find the purpose. See, life is testing you. And when life gets hard, that's the test. That's the moment that separates the talkers from the doers, the pretenders from the warriors. You don't get stronger by lifting nothing. You get stronger by lifting a heavy weight. And right now, life is giving you a heavy weight, not to break you, but to build you. So here's how you keep going. You wake up every day and you remind yourself why you started. You remind yourself who's counting on you. You remind yourself of the pain you've already survived, and you refuse to waste that pain. You don't quit when you're tired. You quit when you're done. You quit when you're done. You quit when you've given everything inside of you. Because success is on the other side of struggle. Growth is on the other side of grit. And blessings are on the other side of battle. So the next time life gets hard, don't ask her why me. Instead, say or try me. Because I'm built for this. I was made for this. And I will not stop until I win. Life isn't supposed to be easy. Somewhere along the line, we bought into the lie that if life is difficult, something must be wrong. That if the road is rough, maybe we're not on the right path. But I came here to tell you today, difficulty is not a detour, it's the destination. Struggle isn't proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're fighting for something worth having. If you thought this was going to be smooth, you misunderstood the whole game. Life is not built to hand you comfort. Life is built to hand you character. Think about it. When you were a baby, you had to struggle just to walk. You fell on the floor over and over again. You wobbled, you crashed, you cried. And your parents didn't say, oh no, it's too hard for you. Don't try walking. No, they encouraged you because they knew struggle was the only way you find your legs. You didn't learn to stand by avoiding falling. You learned to stand by falling forward. That's life. You don't get stronger by avoiding resistance. You get stronger by pushing against it. I need you to hear me. Struggle is not your enemy, it's your trainer. Life is the gym, and every hardship is a weight on the bar. You can complain about how heavy it is, or you can push through and build muscle. And listen, muscle doesn't grow without tearing first. You can't get strength without strain. If everything in your life is easy right now, I promise you, you're not growing. Because growth demands pain, progress demands pressure. Diamonds don't form in comfort, they form under heat and pressure. See, we live in a generation that wants the glory without the grind. Everybody wants to shine. Nobody wants the scars. Everybody wants success, but nobody wants struggle. But here's the truth. Struggle shapes dream. It's the only way. You don't develop courage in a classroom. You develop courage when life scares you and you decide to move forward anyway. You don't develop resilience reading about it. You develop resilience when life knocks you down and you choose to get it back up. That's where strength is born. Let me keep it 100 with you. Life is going to punch you in the face. It's going to test you in ways you never thought possible. You're going to cry. You're going to question. You're going to doubt. And in those moments, I need you to remember, this is not punishment. This is preparation. The hard times you're living through right now, they're preparing you for the weight of the blessing that's coming. Because if you can't handle struggle, you'll never be able to handle success. Success isn't lighter than struggle. It's heavier. The money, the influence, the responsibility, it's a heavier weight. And life is making sure you're strong enough to carry it. You want me to prove it? Look at every great man and woman in history. Look at Nelson Mandela, locked in a prison cell for 27 years. Look at Oprah, abused, rejected, told she would never make it. Look at Thomas Edison, Failed 1,000 times before he got that light bulb to work. Look at Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team. Look at Eric Thomas, homeless, eating out of trash cans before becoming one of the most powerful voices on this planet. What do they all have in common? Struggle. What did it do? It didn't destroy them. It shaped them. It shaped them. It gave them strength. And that's what I need you to understand. The enemy isn't the struggle. The enemy is quitting in the middle of the struggle. The enemy is expecting it to be easy. Because if you expect it to be easy, the first time it gets hard, you'll walk away. And that's why some of you never see the other side of greatness, because you stop in the middle of the process. You stop when it's hard, not realizing that's when you're closer to the breakthrough. Let me ask you something. What's the heaviest thing you've ever carried in your life? Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was heartbreak. Maybe it was failure. You carried that weight and it hurt and it bit your back and it made you feel like you couldn't move forward. But guess what? You're still here. That means you carried it. That means you were stronger than you thought. That means the struggle shaped you into someone tougher than before. And if you could carry that weight, what makes you think you can't carry the next one? But see, the problem is we run from struggle. We try to avoid it. We want shortcuts, easy wins, quick success. But shortcuts don't build strength. They build weakness. That's why so many people crumble when life really tests them, because they never train under pressure. You can't pray for strength and then avoid the struggle, because the struggle is the answer to the prayer. You can't ask to be a warrior and then complain when life puts a battle in front of you. That's the training ground. So when life gets hard, I don't want you to see it as a curse. I want you to see it as a classroom. Every hardship is teaching you something. Every setback is training you. Every obstacle is shaping you. And if you don't learn the lesson, you'll keep facing the same struggle until you do. Because life will not promote you to the next level until you've proven you can handle this one. You know how a tree grows stronger. The wind, stronger, the wind. The pressure of the wind forces the roots to grow deeper. If there's no wind, the tree looks good for a while, but the first storm that comes will knock it down. But a tree that's been through storms, a tree that's faced struggle, its roots are deep. That's why it stands tall no matter what comes. You are that tree. And the winds in your life, the storms you're facing, they're not here to destroy you. They're here to deepen your roots. You can't pray for greatness and then run from struggle. Greatness and struggle are twins. They show up together. Every level of your life will require a new level of strength. And that strength will only come from struggle. Stop asking for it to be easy. Start asking for the strength to endure. Start asking for the courage to keep going. Start asking for the wisdom to see the struggle as a blessing, not a curse. The truth is, the only reason you can inspire somebody else tomorrow is because of the struggle you're surviving today. Your pain is somebody else's survival guide. Your scars are somebody else's roadmap. Somebody is waiting to hear how you overcame, but they'll never hear it if you quit in the middle. So don't stop. Don't you dare stop. The struggle is shaping you for something far greater than you can see right now. So the next time life gets hard, don't say, why is this happening to me? Say, this is shaping me. Don't say, this is unfair. Say, this is training. Don't say, I can't handle this. Say, this is making me stronger. Because life isn't supposed to be easy. If it were easy, you wouldn't grow. You wouldn't stretch. You wouldn't rise. Struggle is the gift. Struggle is the gift. Struggle is the process. Struggle is shaping your strength. Don't quit because it's hard. Keep going because stopping is not an option. You hear me? Too many of you, the first time life punches you in the mouth, you ready to fold. The first time it doesn't go your way, you're looking for the exit sign. But let me make it clear. If you're going to be great, if you're going to accomplish what you were put on this earth to accomplish, you cannot treat quitting like an option. Because once you put quitting on the table, your mind will choose it every single time it gets uncomfortable. Life is hard. Nobody is denying that. You're going to have days where it feels like everything is against you. You're going to have seasons where it feels like the whole world is testing you. But you've got to make a decision inside of yourself. I don't care how hard it gets. What it hurts. Quitting is not in my vocabulary. Because listen, if you stop every time it gets hard, you will never see what's on the other side. Some of you don't even realize how close you are to the breakthrough, how close you are to the blessing, how close you are to that door finally opening. But you'll never know if you quit too soon. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you given up right before something great was about to happen? How many times did you walk away because it got uncomfortable? And later you realized if you had just pushed a little bit longer, you would have made it. That's why I'm telling you stopping cannot be an option. Because life will always give you a reason to stop. It's too hard. It's too painful. It's too painful. It's too slow. It's too uncertain. Those voices will always be there. But the reason people win, the reason people succeed is not because they had it easy. It's because they silenced those voices and said, I'm not stopping until I finish. When I was homeless, I had every reason to quit. I had no bed, no food, no plan, no security. I had every excuse in the world to throw in the towel. But if I quit then, you would have never heard of Aaron Thomas. If I quit then, I wouldn't be standing in front of thousands of people telling them to keep going. If I quit then, my family would still be living in poverty. So when I tell you quitting is not an option, I'm not just saying words, I lived it. The only reason I made it out of that pit was because I refused to quit, even when everything in me wanted to. You gotta make quitting unattractive. You've gotta make it so that the thought of giving up disgusts you. Because if you're casual about it, if you treat quitting like a backup plan, you're done. That's the problem with some of you. You've got too many backup plans. You've got too many safety nets. You say, if this doesn't work, I'll just go do that. And so the moment it gets hard, you run back to safety. You run back to comfort. But listen, comfort is the enemy of greatness. If you always run back to comfort, you will never get to destiny. Sometimes you gotta burn the boats. Sometimes you gotta cut off every option before. And I know what you're thinking, but if I fail? Let me tell you something. Failure is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Quitting is. Because failure means you tried. Failure means you learned something. Failure means you grew. But quitting means you never gave yourself the chance to find out what you were capable of. Quitting is permanent. At least failure is temporary. You can come back from failure, but you can't come back from quitting. I've watched athletes run until their legs gave out. I've seen students study until their eyes were bloodshot. I've seen mothers work 3 jobs to put food on the table. None of those people had it easy. But you know what they all had in common? They decided stopping wasn't an option. That's why they made it. Because they understood that difficulty isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign to dig deeper. You've got to change the way you see struggle. Right now, when it gets hard, your first thought is, I can't do this. Maybe I'm not built for it. Maybe it's not meant to be. But hear me, the fact that it's hard is proof that it's worth it. If it were easy, everybody would have it. If it were easy, it wouldn't be special. The reason it's hard is because it's valuable. And the only way to get something valuable is to pay the price. You can't discount your way into greatness. You've got to pay full price. And the currency is blood, sweat, and tears. Some of you think quitting will take away the pain. You think if I stop, at least I won't have to hurt anymore. But let me tell you something. Quitting doesn't take away the pain. It just gives you a different kind of pain. The pain of regret. The pain of wondering what could have been. The pain of knowing you had more in you, but you never saw it because you quit too early. That pain doesn't go away. It eats at you for the rest of your life. At least the pain of perseverance leads to progress. At least the pain of pushing through leads to pride. The pain of quitting, it only leads to emptiness. I need you to picture your life right now. Picture the thing you've been working for, the dream you've been chasing. Now picture yourself giving up. Picture yourself 5 years from now watching somebody else live the dream you walked away from. Picture yourself having to explain to your kids, to your family, to yourself why you stopped. Does that sit right with you? No. Because deep down you know you were built for more. That's why stopping cannot be an option. Let me give it to you straight. If you're going to keep going, it can't just be about motivation. Motivation fades. There will be days you don't feel like it. There will be days you don't want to get out of bed. You gotta build discipline. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel, I'm showing up. Discipline says, I don't care how hard it is. I'm not stopping until it's done. Discipline is what carries you when motivation runs out. And discipline only grows when you refuse to quit. Think about the people you admire most. The champions, the leaders, the ones who changed the world. Do you think it was easy for them? You think they never wanted to quit? Of course they did. The difference is they didn't give in to that desire. They looked at the hardship and said, I'm going to keep going anyway. That's what separates ordinary from extraordinary. Not talent, not luck, just the refusal to stop. So when life gets hard, and it will, I want you to remember this. Pain is temporary, but quitting is forever. Struggle is temporary, but the strength you build from it lasts a lifetime. Keep pushing, keep grinding, keep moving forward. Because once you decide that stopping is not an option, you will find a way. You will dig deeper than you ever thought possible. It will unlock a version of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And that version of you is the one who will change everything. Pain is part of the process. Let me say that again so it sinks in. Pain is part of the process. Stop running from it. Stop trying to avoid it. Stop treating pain like it's a punishment. Pain is the currency of greatness. You cannot reach your full potential without paying in pain. And the problem with so many people is the second it hurts, the second it burns, the second it gets uncomfortable, they're out. They fold. They quit. They let pain convince them it's over. But I need you to shift your perspective. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the signal that you're growing. Listen to me. You don't get stronger without pain. Go to the gym. You lift the weight, and what happens? Your muscles tear. Micro tears. It hurts. It's sore. And what happens after that? The muscle grows back stronger. The soreness was proof that growth was happening. That's life. The setbacks, the heartbreaks, the disappointments, they hurt, but they're tearing you down so you can build back stronger. If you run every time it hurts, you rob yourself of the growth that pain is trying to give you. Some of you right now, you're sitting in pain. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's personal. Maybe it's emotional. And your first instinct is to make excuses. I can't do it because I'm hurting. I can't keep pushing because it's too heavy. I can't keep going because it's not fair. That's the excuse mindset. That's how pain defeats you. But when you flip it, when you decide to use pain as fuel, everything changes. You start saying, I'm going to take this pain and turn it into power. I'm going to take this pain and use it as proof that I can survive anything. I'm going to take this pain and let it light a fire under me that no comfort ever could. You know why some of the most successful people in the world are also people who came from the hardest situation? Pain trained them. Pain sharpened them. Pain sharpened them. Pain made them relentless. They didn't let pain become an excuse. They let it become energy. They let it become motivation. Think about it. The kid who grew up poor, the one who had nothing, the one who was told you'll never make it. Why so many of them go on to do incredible things? Because they decided their pain wasn't going to define them. It was going to drive them. I'll never forget my own pain. Sleeping in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans, waking up every morning wondering how I even got to that point. That pain could have been the excuse that kept me down. That pain could have been the story I told myself forever. Not because life was easy, not because the path was smooth, but because I learned to use pain as fuel. The truth is, pain is the most honest thing you will ever feel. Pain doesn't lie. Pain doesn't pretend. Pain tells you exactly where you're weak, exactly where you need to grow, exactly what needs to change. That heartbreak you felt, that wasn't just pain. That was life showing you what you deserve and what you should never settle for again. That failure, that wasn't just pain. That was life showing you where you need to improve, where you need to work harder, where you need to be sharper. Pain is feedback. But if you spend your whole life running from it, you'll never learn the lesson. Stop seeing pain as a reason to quit and start seeing it as proof that you're in the fight. A boxer doesn't step in the ring expecting to never get hit. They expect pain. They accept pain. They understand it's part of the process of winning. You don't train to avoid getting hit. You train to keep fighting after you get hit. That's the same mindset you need in life. Don't ask for a life without pain. Ask for the strength to endure it. Ask for the wisdom to learn from it. Ask for the vision to turn it into fuel. See, pain has two sides. It can break you or it can build you. It can stop you or it can strengthen you. And the choice is always yours. When it hurts, you can either say, this is too much, I can't take it, or you can say that this pain is going to push me to another level. This pain is going to remind me why I started. This pain is going to keep me hungry. The problem is most people let pain become a story. They repeat it over and over. I didn't finish school because it was too hard. I didn't chase my dream because I failed once. I didn't keep going because people hurt me. And what happens? That pain becomes a prison. They lock themselves inside of it. But champions, warriors, the ones who win, they take that same pain and they use it as a passport. They say, this is my ticket out. This is my reason to fight harder. This is why I can't stop. I know you think pain is unfair. I know you think, why me? Why me? Why do I have to go through this? So listen, you're not alone. Everybody hurts. Everybody suffers. The difference between people who stay stuck and people who ride is what they do with that pain. Do they let it bury them or do they let it birth them? Pain can bury your dreams if you let it. But pain can also birth a version of you that you didn't even know existed. Think about childbirth, the most beautiful thing in the world. A new life comes through pain. The mother screams, cries, sweats, suffers, and at the end of it, something incredible is born. That's your life. The dream you want to birth is going to come through pain. The future you want to create is going to come through pain. You can't avoid it. You can't escape it. The only question is, will you push through it or will you let it stop you? Some of you are sitting on dreams because you're waiting for the process to be painless. You're waiting for the road to be smooth. You're waiting for the obstacles to disappear. And let me break it to you, that day is never coming. There will never be a path to greatness without pain. You've got to decide if the dream is worth the discomfort. And if it is, you've got to keep moving forward even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because the pain you're feeling now is temporary, but the strength it builds will last forever. That broken heart will heal, but the lessons you learn will make you wiser for life. That failure will fade, but the resilience you built will carry you through every storm. That rejection will sting, but the confidence you gain from surviving it will make you unstoppable. Pain is temporary, but the product of pain is permanent. So the next time it hurts, the next time you feel like giving up, I want you to remember this. Pain is part of the process. It's not a sign to stop, it's a sign you're on the right track. Use it, take that frustration and let it fuel your fire. Take that heartbreak and let it push you harder. Take that disappointment and let it remind you how bad you want it. Don't waste pain. Don't give it power over you. Don't let it turn into excuses. Let it turn into energy. Let it turn into motivation. Let it turn into strength. Setbacks are setups for a stronger comeback. I know right now you might be looking at your life thinking, everything is falling apart. You tried and it didn't work. You pushed and it still failed. You gave your all and somehow you still came up short. And it hurts. I know it hurts. But let me tell you this. Every single setback you're facing is not the end of your story. It's the setup for your comeback. You gotta stop looking at setbacks like they're permanent. They're not permanent. They're preparation. Every time life knocks you down, you got two choices. You can stay down, complain, tell everybody how unfair life is, or you can get back up and say, oh, this is not where my story ends. Then the setback wasn't meant to bury you. It was meant to build you. It was meant to test your grit to see if you really want it bad enough. Because hear me, if success was handed to you the first time, you wouldn't value it. You wouldn't respect it. You wouldn't fight to keep it. But when you've been through hell, when you've been through failure after failure, and then you rise again, that's when you become unstoppable. Some of you think setbacks mean supposed to be chasing your dream. You think, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe the universe is telling me no, but that's not how this works. Setbacks are not stop signs. They are signals. They are life's way of asking, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to go through pain, rejection, and failure to get it? Because if you quit at the first setback, that dream was never really yours. I want you to think about a slingshot. You pull back and what happens? For a moment, it feels like it's going backwards. It feels like it's losing ground. But the further it pulls back, the greater the force when it's released. That's you. Right now, life may be pulling you back. Right now, you may feel like you're losing ground, but don't you dare quit because that pullback is the setup for you to launch farther than you ever imagined. Look at history. Every great story, every great champion has setbacks. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school varsity team. Can you imagine if he took that as a sign to quit? Oprah was told she didn't have the face for television. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. You see a pattern? The comeback always comes after the setback. The strength always comes after the struggle. Oh, and you're no different. Your story isn't going to be perfect. You're not going to climb straight to the top. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. You're going to hit wall. But hear me, the comeback is sweeter because of the setback. You appreciate it more because you earned it through pain. You value it more because you had to fight for it when everyone else doubted you. You've got to change the way you see setbacks. Right now, you see them as obstacles. You see them as proof you should quit. But I need you to flip it. I need you to see them as opportunities. Every setback is teaching you something. Every setback is shaping you, refining you, preparing you for the bigger stage. If you can survive this, you'll be ready for the next level. If you can bounce back from this, nothing will be able to stop you in the future. I remember the times I failed, times I was overlooked, times I was rejected. I thought it was the end. But now I look back and realize every one of those moments was part of the setup. If I had gotten everything I wanted the first time I asked, I wouldn't have been ready to handle it. I would have wasted it. But the setbacks gave me strength. The setbacks forced me to learn. The setbacks prepared me for the weight of my future. Some of you, the reason you haven't seen the breakthrough yet is because you're still in training. You're still being prepared. The setback isn't a punishment, it's a process. And when the comeback comes, when the doors finally open, you'll be ready because you went through the fire and you didn't quit. But let's be real, setbacks hurt. They drain you, they make you doubt yourself, they make you question everything. And in that moment, you gotta talk to yourself. You've gotta remind yourself, this isn't the end. This is the setup. You've gotta look in the mirror and say, I will not let this setback stop me. I will rise, I will come back stronger, God. Because the words you speak to yourself in the middle of pain will determine if you stay down or get back up. Don't let the setback define you. Let the comeback define you. People won't remember how many times you failed. They won't remember how many times you failed. They'll remember how many times you got back up. They'll remember that you refused to stay down. They'll remember to come back. Think about a seed. Before it grows into a tree, it has to be buried in the dirt. And from the outside, it looks like it's been covered, like it's been forgotten. But that seed is not dead. It's being set up. It's developing roots. It's getting ready to push through the soil. That's what your setback is. You may feel buried right now, but you're not buried, you're planted. And when the time comes, you're gonna break through that soil, stronger than ever before. But you gotta endure. You gotta trust the process. You can't quit halfway through. Too many people quit during the setup, and they never experience the comeback. Don't let that be you. Don't waste your pain. Don't waste your setback. Use it. Let it fuel you. Let it make you hungrier. Let it remind you that nothing worth having comes easy. You've got to make a decision that no matter how many times you fall, you're going to rise again. No matter how many times life says no, you're going to keep showing up until you get that yes. No matter how many times the door closes, you're going to knock again. Kick it again. Break it down if you have to, because the comeback only comes to those who refuse to quit. I want you to start seeing every setback as a challenge to rise, a challenge to fight harder, a challenge to show the world and yourself what you're made of. Because listen, your greatest story will never come from the easy times. Nobody's inspired by easy. Nobody's motivated by perfect. People are moved by comebacks. People are changed by resilience. People are touched by the ones who refuse to stay down. So if you're in a setback right now, congratulations. That means you're in the middle of your setup. That means something greater is coming if you don't quit. That means the story isn't over yet. And when you come back, and you will if you don't stop, you're going to be stronger, wiser, tougher, hungrier. And that comeback is going to be the thing that inspires generations. Life will test you in ways you never thought possible. It will hit when you least expect it, and it won't always make sense. There will be days when you feel like the weight of the world is crushing you, when everything seems to fall apart at the same time. And you ask yourself why this is happening to you. But in those moments, when the pain is real and the struggle is heavy, you have a choice. You can either let the hardship bury you, or you can decide to rise above it. One of the most powerful ways to keep going when life gets hard is to focus on your why. That inner purpose, that deep reason you wake up in the morning is the fuel that will carry you through storms, setbacks, and suffering. The truth is, life isn't supposed to be easy. If it were, none of us would grow. None of us would grow into better versions of ourselves. But when the storms come, when the ground feels like it's shaking beneath you, your why becomes the anchor that keeps you steady. Maybe your why is your family. Maybe it's your children who are looking up to you, depending on you to show them what strength looks like. Maybe it's your dream, that vision of a life you've always wanted, the business you want to build, the impact you want to make. Maybe your why is proving to yourself that you're more than what people said you were. No matter what it is, your why has to be bigger than your pain, stronger than your fear, and louder than the doubts in your head. There will be times when the pain feels unbearable, when your body is exhausted and your mind tells you it's easier to quit. But quitting doesn't make the pain go away. It just makes the regret last forever. You've got to remind yourself of why you started in the first place. You didn't come this far just to come this far. You didn't endure sleepless nights, sacrifices, and setbacks just to throw it all away when it gets hard. You started because something in your heart told you that your life had meaning, that your journey had a purpose, and that purpose is what you must cling to when the storm rages. Think about it like this. Life is like climbing a mountain. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets, the harder it is to breathe, the more tired your legs become. And every step feels heavier than the last. But when you keep your eyes on the summit, when you remind yourself of why you're climbing in the first place, you find the strength to keep moving one step at a time. That's what your why does for it. It keeps your eyes on the summits. Without it, you'll quit halfway up the mountain. But with it, you'll find the courage to take another step and another until you reach the top. Your why gives meaning to the pain. Without a purpose, pain feels unbearable, pointless, and suffocating. But when you attach it to something greater, when you know you're suffering for a reason, it transforms the pain into power. That's why mothers go through labor. They endure the most excruciating pain because they know what's waiting on the other side: life, love, and legacy. That's why athletes train until their bodies ache. They endure because they know what's on the other side: victory, greatness, and fulfillment. And that's why you must find your way, because when the pain comes, and it will, you'll need a reason strong enough to push you through it. But here's the truth. Your why can't be shallow. If your why is just money, when life gets hard, money won't be enough to keep you going. If your why is just recognition, when people stop clapping for you, you'll lose your fire. Your why has to be rooted in something deeper, something eternal, something that will still matter when no one is watching. That's why people who succeed at the highest levels always have a why that's about more than themselves. It's about legacy. It's about impact. It's about leaving something behind that will outlive them. When you tie your why to something greater than yourself, the storms of life can't break you. They can only shape you. And let me be clear. Your why isn't just about what you want. It's about who you are. It's about defining your identity and your values, even when life challenges them. When you know your why, you stop being swayed by every difficulty, every disappointment, every failure. Life will throw distractions and temptations at you, trying to pull you off track. People will tell you it's too hard, that you should settle, that maybe this isn't for you. But when you know your why, those voices don't matter. Your why drowns out the noise and keeps you focused on the mission. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when you feel like you're not enough, when you question whether you can actually make it. That's when you need to revisit your why. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Remind yourself every single day of what you're fighting for. You're fighting for. Because when life is hard, the mind plays tricks, tells you that quitting is easier, that comfort is safer, that giving up will bring relief. But your why will remind you that the pain is temporary, the struggle is temporary, but the reward on the other side is forever. Look at history. Every great leader, every innovator, every world changer faced unimaginable hardship. But the difference between those who gave up and those who kept going wasn't that life was easier for them. It wasn't that the paint was lighter or the path was smoother. The difference was their why. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years in prison, not because it was easy, but because his why was freedom for his people. Martin Luther King Jr. marched and spoke even when his life was threatened, not because it was comfortable, but because his why was justice and equality. Even ordinary people, those who aren't in history books, keep going through the hardest struggles because their why, whether it's family, faith, or a dream, is stronger than the pain. The enemy of perseverance is forgetfulness. When you forget your why, you lose your strength. When you forget your why, you let the hardships convince you that quitting is the only option. But if you can remember, if you can keep your why in front of you, then even in the darkest nights, you'll see a light guiding you forward. That's how you keep going when life gets hard. You let your why lead you, fuel you, and carry you because life will test you. It will push you to the edge. It will make you question everything. But in those moments when quitting feels easier than continuing, remind yourself of why you started. Your why is your compass, your engine, your anchor. And when the storm comes, it's the only thing that will keep you moving forward. When life gets hard, most people want to stop, slow down, or even give up because the weight of their circumstances feels unbearable. But if you're serious about making it, about reaching the next level, about becoming the best version of yourself, you can't afford to quit when the pressure rises. The truth is, pressure is not your enemy. The resistance you feel is not there to destroy you. It's there to shape you, to mold you, to reveal the strength you didn't even know you had. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Steel doesn't get its strength without fire. You don't get to your greatness without the grind, the pain, the late nights, the disappointments, and the setbacks. Every single challenge that comes your way is life's way of asking, do you really want it? Are you really committed? Or are you only here when it's easy? See, most people can show up when it's convenient. Most people can stay committed when the weather's perfect, when the money's flowing, when the applause is loud. But life has a way of stripping away the comfort to test what's left. The question is, will you stay in the fight when everything in you is screaming to quit? Will you keep pushing when your body says stop? When your emotions say enough? When your friends disappear? When the people closest to you don't believe anymore? That's where true resilience is born. Not in the easy days, not in the sunshine, but in the storms. Think about a runner in a marathon. At mile 1, they're smiling, waving at the crowd, full of energy. At mile 5, they're still feeling good, pacing themselves. But around mile 18, 20, or 22, the body starts breaking down. The muscles ache, the lungs burn, and everything inside says, stop, this is too much. That's the wall. And that wall isn't just physical, it's mental. It's the part of your brain designed to protect you from pain. It whispers that it's okay to quit, that nobody will blame you, that you've gone far enough. But here's the truth. That wall is not a stop sign. It's an invitation. It's the threshold between average and extraordinary, between the person who just participates and the one who conquers. You don't discover who you are until you press beyond that wall. Life is the same way. You got dreams, goals, visions for your future, and you start off excited, motivated, full of fire. But somewhere along the road, you hit your wall. Maybe it's financial struggles, maybe it's health issues, maybe it's the loss of someone you love, or people turning their back on you, or doors slamming shut that you thought would be open. That's your wall. And just like the marathon runner, you got two choices. Stop and let the wall define you, or dig deep, push harder, and redefine yourself. And understand this. When life applies pressure, it's not punishment, it's preparation. That hardship is building muscles you'll need for the next level. That disappointment is teaching you discipline. That betrayal is teaching you discernment. That delay is building your patience. You think the struggle is working against you, but it's actually working for you. Because when you come out of that fire, you don't come out the same. You come out stronger. You come out sharper. You come out with a story that inspires others. But here's where most people fail. They misinterpret pressure as a sign they're on the wrong path. They think, if this was meant for me, it wouldn't be this hard. That's a lie. The difficulty is proof you're on the right path. The difficulty means you're stretching beyond your comfort zone. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, there'd be no value in it. And the very fact that it's hard means it's worth it. Think about how a seed grows into a tree. Before it ever touches sunlight, it has to be buried in the dark, cold dirt. It has to push against the weight of the soil, crack open, and struggle upward through resistance just to reach the surface. Only then does it get to grow into its purpose. And you're no different. Life buries you, puts weight on you, covers you in darkness, and you feel like you'll never make it out. But if you keep pushing, if you refuse to stop, eventually you break through. And the same dirt that was meant to bury you becomes the soil that nourishes you. When pressure comes, you can't shrink. You can't play small. You got to rise up and face it. You got to see it as part of the process. Champions are not crowned in comfort. They're forged in struggle. Every legend you admire went through their breaking point and refused to break. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but came out stronger. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team before becoming the greatest of all time. What separated them from everyone else wasn't talent alone. It was the refusal to quit under pressure. You got to get to the place where your dream is non-negotiable, where quitting isn't even on the table, where failure is nothing more than feedback. When life hits you, you don't just stumble backward. You plant your feet, dig in, and push forward even harder. You got to train your mind to see pressure as fuel, not as fear, because pressure reveals character. Pressure exposes the difference between those who say they want it and those who mean it with every fiber of their being. And let me tell you, the day you learn to embrace pressure, your whole life changes. Suddenly setbacks don't scare you. Rejection doesn't destroy you. Delays don't discourage you. You stop asking the why me and start declaring a try me. You look at the mountain and say, I don't care how tall you are. I was built to climb. You look at the fire and say, I don't care how hot you burn. I was built to endure. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being master of them. And remember this, storms don't last forever. The rain eventually stops. The night eventually turns into morning. Pressure doesn't crush diamonds. It creates them. The fire doesn't destroy gold. It purifies it. The same is true for you. Every difficulty you face is temporary, but the strength and wisdom you gain from it will last forever. That's why you can't give up when life gets hard. That's why you've got to lean into the pressure instead of running from it. Because on the other side of that struggle, there's the breakthrough you've been praying for. The life you've been chasing, the version of yourself you were born to become. So when life pushes, push back harder. When life knocks you down, get back up stronger. When the weight feels too heavy, remind yourself that you were built for this. You're not average. You're not ordinary. You are extraordinary. And extraordinary people don't fold under pressure. They rise. There are moments in life when the obstacle standing in front of you feels so massive, so heavy that you wonder how anyone could possibly climb over them. You look at the road ahead and it feels like you've already run out of gas before you even start. That's the reality of life. Struggles, setbacks, and storms that don't knock on your door politely. They barge in without warning. And when they come, the question isn't why me? The question you got to ask yourself is, what's my why? Because when you're tired, when you're broken, when life strips you down to nothing, the only thing that will keep you moving forward is your why. Your why is bigger than motivation. Motivation fades. Motivation fades. Motivation is like fuel in a tank. It burns out. Your why is the engine. It's the thing that keeps running even when you're running on fumes. And most people struggle not because they don't have talent, not because they don't have opportunity, but because they never really define their why. They never ask themselves, what am I really living for? Who am I really fighting for? Without a why, you will stop at the first sign of pain. Without a why, you'll quit when life punches you in the face. But when your why is strong enough, there is no obstacle big enough to stop you. Think about it. When you got a real why, you'll endure things you never thought you could endure. Look at parents who work 2 or 3 jobs just to keep the lights on and food on the table. They come home exhausted, their body's aching. But they wake up the next day and do it again. Not because it's easy, not because they love the grind, but because their children are their why. Their family is the reason they keep going. The sacrifices make sense because the why is bigger than the pain. And that's what most people miss. They want success, they want to live their dreams, but they haven't attached those dreams to a powerful why. When life feels unbearable, when the weight on your shoulders is so heavy that it feels like you can't even stand, one of the most important things you can ever learn is how to lean on the people who love you. Too many people try to fight battles alone. They think that asking for help is weakness. They think that if they can't handle everything on their own, then they aren't strong enough. But let me tell you something. True strength is not isolation. True strength is not carrying every single burden by yourself until you break. True strength is having the courage to admit when you're tired, when you're struggling, and when you need someone to walk with you through the fire. Because sometimes the only way you're going to keep going when life gets hard is by leaning on your support system. What? We live in a culture that praises independence. Be self-made. Don't need anyone. Handle it all yourself. But the truth is, no one gets through life completely alone. Behind every success story is someone who has support. It might have been a teacher who believed in them, a coach who pushed them, a friend who encouraged them, or a family member who refused to let them quit. No matter how strong you think you are, there will be moments in life when you need others. And if you try to carry everything alone, you'll eventually collapse under the pressure. That's why it's not just okay to lean on your support system. It's necessary. Think about a house. No matter how beautiful it is, no matter how expensive the furniture, no matter how strong the walls look, if it doesn't have a foundation, it will crumble. Your support system is your foundation. It's the people who keep you grounded when life shakes you. It's the people who remind you of who you are when you forget. It's the people who refuse to let you give up when everything inside you is telling you to quit. Without that foundation, even the strongest walls can't stand. The problem is, a lot of people don't use their support system. They isolate themselves when they struggle. They shut down. They hide their pain. Maybe they don't want to burden others. Maybe they feel embarrassed. Maybe they think no one will understand. But isolation doesn't heal. Silence doesn't build strength. When you try to fight every battle alone, you rob yourself of the love, encouragement, and perspective that others could give you. Sometimes the very thing that can save you is the very thing you're pushing away people. Your support system doesn't always have to be huge. It doesn't have to be 100 friends or a big family. Sometimes it's just one person who listens, one person who checks on you, one person who prays for you, one person who believes in you when you don't believe in yourself. Don't underestimate the power of that one voice, that one hug, that one reminder that you are not alone. And sometimes leaning on your support system doesn't even mean talking. It doesn't always mean sitting down and pouring out your heart. Sometimes it's just being in the presence of someone who cares, sitting in silence, sharing a meal. Laughing at something small, even while the world feels heavy, because it's not always about fixing the problem. It's about not carrying it alone. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Oh, what if I don't have a support system? What if I don't have friends or family to lean on? First, let me say this. You are not as alone as you think. Sometimes support doesn't come from where you expect. It might not be family. It might not be your closest friends, but maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's a community group. Maybe it's someone you meet who just understands. You don't have to know someone for years for them to be a part of your support system. Sometimes strangers can become your biggest allies. And if you truly feel like you have no one, then you still have one source of strength that never fails: God. Prayer is not just words in the air. It's connection, support. It's leaning on the one who knows your pain better than anyone else. Sometimes when there's no one to call, no one to sit with, no one to listen, you can still lean on your Creator. Trust me, He will carry you in ways that no human can. Here's what I want you to understand. Support is not weakness. Vulnerability is not weakness. Saying I need help is not weakness. In fact, it's the opposite. It's strength. It takes courage to admit when you're hurting. It takes bravery to let people in. It takes humility to say, I can't do this alone. And if you can find that courage, that bravery, that humility, you'll discover that the very thing you thought made you weak is what will make you strong enough to keep going. Think about professional athletes. Do you think they do everything alone? No. They have trainers, coaches, nutritionists, teammates. They lean on others because they know they can't win by themselves. Think about soldiers. Do they go into battle alone? No. They move in units. They cover each other. They fight together. So why is it that in life we think we're supposed to fight our battles completely alone? If the strongest athletes and the bravest soldiers lean on others, why wouldn't you sometimes? Your support system will remind you of things you've forgotten. They'll remind you of the victories you've had. They'll remind you of the strength you already showed. They'll remind you of your purpose when you can't see it yourself. Because in the middle of pain, your vision gets blurry. You can't always see clearly. You can't always remember the truth. But that's why your support system exists. To be your eyes when yours are cloudy. To be your hope when yours is gone. To be your strength when yours is weak. Leaning on your support system is not just about surviving. It's about thriving. It's about having joy in the middle of chaos. It's about finding laughter in the middle of tears. It's about finding peace in the middle of storms. Because life doesn't stop being hard just because you have support. But with support, hard doesn't mean impossible. With support, hard doesn't mean hopeless. With support, hard just means together. So when life gets hard, don't hide. Don't isolate. Don't try to be a superhero. Reach out. Call that friend. Sit with that family member. Join that group. Pray that prayer. Let someone walk with you. Because the journey is long. The road is rough. And the storms are real. But you don't have to walk it alone. And when you let others carry part of the weight, you'll find that you can keep moving forward, step by step, even when you thought you couldn't take another step at all. Life will test you, sometimes in ways that feel unbearable, and in those moments, it's easy to think you're alone. But you're not. One of the most powerful ways to keep going when life gets hard is to lean on a strong support system. Human beings were never designed to walk through struggle and isolation. From the beginning of time, we were created to connect, to share burdens, to encourage, and to lift each other up when our own strength isn't enough. Too many people believe they have to do everything by themselves, that admitting you need help makes you weak. But that's a lie. It's not weakness to seek support, it's wisdom. It's recognizing that the load of life becomes lighter when it's shared. Think about it. When you're going through the toughest season of your life, your mind can play tricks on you. It will tell you nobody cares, nobody understands, and you're in this battle by yourself. That isolation is dangerous because it magnifies the pain, the fear, and the doubt. But when you let people in, when you're vulnerable enough to admit, I can't carry this alone, you'll find that there are people ready to walk with you. People who want to remind you that you're stronger than you feel. People who want to hold you accountable to keep moving forward when quitting feels easier. We've all heard the phrase, iron sharpens iron. That's not just a nice saying. It's reality. When life gets hard, having the right people around you can be the difference between giving up and breaking through. Think about athletes. Even the greatest champions in the world don't win alone. They've got coaches, trainers, teammates, mentors, and family backing them. They've got people to encourage them when the game gets tough, and people who refuse to let them settle when things don't go their way. The same principle applies to life. You need people around you who will not only empathize with your pain, but also push you towards your potential. But here's the thing. Not everyone in your circle is part of your support system. Sometimes the people closest to you can't handle the weight of your struggle. Some of them may even discourage you or tell you to quit because they can't see the vision you carry. That's why it's so important to be intentional about who you lean on. A strong support system isn't just about having bodies around you. It's about having the right voices, the right energy, the right spirit that aligns with your fight. It might be one person, or it might be 10. It might be a family member, a friend, a mentor, or even a community of strangers who understand your journey. The key is to surround yourself with people who believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. Sometimes your support system will show up in ways you don't even expect. It might be that friend who calls you out of nowhere just to check in, not knowing you were on the verge of breaking down. It might be a mentor who sees potential in you that you've forgotten. It might be a partner who reminds you of the bigger picture when you're stuck in the pain of the moment. And sometimes your support system won't be physical people at all. It might be faith. It might be community. It might be a higher power that reminds you you're never alone, no matter how isolated you feel. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves when life gets hard is that asking for help is a burden. But what if the opposite is true? What if by asking for help, you give others the opportunity to fulfill their purpose? What if someone in your circle has been praying for the chance to support you, to encourage you, to pour into you, and by hiding your struggle, you rob them of that opportunity? Community is not one-sided. When you allow yourself to receive support, you also give others the chance to give, to serve, to love, to grow alongside you. Let's be real. Sometimes pride gets in the way. You don't want people to see you weak, broken, or struggling. You want to put on a mask and pretend like everything's okay. But the problem with that is masks get heavy. Pretending drains energy you could be using to actually heal and grow. Vulnerability isn't about telling everybody your business. It's about identifying safe spaces where you can be honest, where you can let the walls down and allow people to remind you that you're human, not a machine. It's about remembering that no matter how strong you are, everyone needs someone. And let's talk about accountability. A support system doesn't just comfort you, challenges you. When life gets hard, it's tempting to stop showing up, to let your goals slide, to hide from your responsibilities. But when you have people holding you accountable, people who refuse to let you settle, it keeps you moving forward. Accountability doesn't always feel good in the moment. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Sometimes it feels like tough love. But in hindsight, you realize those voices that refused to let you quit were the very voices that saved you from drowning in defeat. Now, not everybody has a built-in support system. Some people grow up without family to rely on. Some people lose friends along the way. But even if you don't have that built-in network, you can build one. Join groups, find mentors, plug into communities that share your values and goals. There are people out there waiting for connection, just like you. You don't have to do life alone. You may have to put yourself out there. Take a risk and seek those connections, but it's worth it. Support systems aren't just for crisis moments. They're for the journey. They're the people who celebrate with you when you win and stand with you when you lose. They're the ones who remind you of how far you've come when you're too focused on how far you have to go. They're the voices that drown out the noise of doubt and negativity with encouragement and truth. And when you think about history, some of the greatest achievements were not accomplished by individuals in isolation, but by community, by groups of people working together, encouraging one another, and standing firm through challenges. Movements were built on the backs of support systems. Resilience was fueled by connection. Even leaders who seemed larger than life had people behind who encouraged, advised, and carried them through. When life gets hard and you feel like you're at the end of yourself, that's when a strong support system makes all the difference. It doesn't mean they'll take the pain away, but they'll remind you that you don't have to carry it by yourself. They'll walk with you, push you, comfort you, and challenge you to keep fighting. Because life is not meant to be done alone. The truth is, storms will come. That's not optional. But how you weather those storms depends a lot on who's in your boat with you. Are they panicking and making the storm worse, or are they rowing with you, helping you stay afloat? Choose wisely who you allow into your support system and lean on them when you feel like quitting. Because in those moments when your own strength runs out, the strength of your community can carry you the rest of the way. When life gets hard, and it will, the first thing that often crumbles for many people is their mindset. But what separates those who keep moving forward from those who stop in their tracks is the ability to shift focus from the pain of the moment to the purpose that lies ahead. You can't allow life's blows to make you forget why you started in the first place. You didn't begin your journey just for convenience, for comfort, or because it was going to be easy. You started because there was something in you, a vision, a dream, a calling that pulled you out of the ordinary. When the storm comes, you got to remind yourself of that purpose. You've got to anchor your soul to it like a ship ties itself to a dock in the middle of raging waves. Because without that anchor, you'll drift, and the current of hardship will carry you to places you never intended to go. Think about it. Every time you've succeeded in the past, every mountain you've already climbed, it wasn't because the journey was smooth. It was because at some point you looked yourself in the mirror and said, I can't stop here. I have to keep going. That decision to keep going, when your body is tired, when your heart is heavy, when your spirit feels crushed, is where champions are made. Most people quit in that space. They fold under pressure. They let the difficulty define them. But you've got to decide that your story isn't going to be one of quitting. It's going to be one of resilience, of endurance, of finishing. When life gets hard, it's not always about removing the obstacle. Sometimes the obstacle is the training ground. The pressure you feel is molding you, shaping you, stretching you beyond what you thought was possible. Just like muscles don't grow without resistance, your character, your endurance, your faith don't grow without resistance either. Every struggle is a test, but it's also a teacher. If you lean into the lesson instead of running from it, you'll come out stronger, sharper, more prepared for the next level. But the challenge is this. Most people don't see the lesson because they're too focused on the pain. They magnify the struggle instead of magnifying their vision. They stare so hard at the brick wall in front of them that they forget walls can be climbed, doors can be found, and sometimes walls can even be broken down. Life is going to put walls in front of you, but not to stop you. They're there to see how badly you want it. And if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way over, under, around, or through that wall. When you're tired, you've got to remind yourself that fatigue is temporary, but quitting is forever. Pain is temporary, but regret is permanent. Yes, you might cry some nights. Yes, you might feel like nobody sees the weight you're carrying. But understand this, somebody is watching. Somebody is being inspired by how you move, even when you're tired, even when you're hurting. And when you're hurting, and one day you're going back and thank yourself for not giving up. Because the reward at the end is always bigger than the pain in the middle. Let me make it clear. Life isn't going to get easier. You just have to get stronger. And strength doesn't show up in comfort zones. It shows up when your back is against the wall and quitting looks like the easier option. That's when you find out who you are. Are you the type that folds when it's tough, or are you the type that digs deep, that pushes when your body screams no, that believes when everything around you looks impossible? That's the difference between the average and the great. The average stop when they're tired. The great stop when they're finished. You've got to learn how to encourage yourself when nobody else is clapping, when nobody else is around to cheer you on. Because there will be seasons where you're in the dark, where it feels like nothing is working, where your efforts seem invisible. But that's where champions are born. In the quiet grind, in the lonely nights, in the unseen effort. That's where you build the kind of resilience that no amount of applause or validation can give you. When life gets hard, keep your eyes locked on the finish line. Don't let the temporary setbacks blind you to the permanent victory that's waiting. Every hardship is temporary. Every storm eventually passes. But if you quit in the middle, you'll never see the sun come back out. You'll never experience the breakthrough on the other side. That's why you can't stop. That's why you can't fold. You've come too far to turn back now. So when the nights get long, when the days feel unbearable, when the weight feels too heavy to carry, remind yourself, this is not the end. This is part of the process. You are being prepared for something greater. Every scar, every bruise, every tear is evidence that you didn't quit. And when it's all said and done, that story, that testimony is going to inspire somebody else to keep going when life gets hard. That's the beauty of endurance. Your victory won't just be yours. It'll be the light for someone else lost in their own storm. When life gets hard, one of the most important things you can ever do is surround yourself with the right people, the right energy, and the right environment that fuels your fight. You have to understand, nobody makes it alone. Nobody climbs to the top of that mountain by themselves. Every great athlete, every great leader, every great dreamer you've ever admired, they had people around them who pushed them, corrected them, encouraged them, and reminded them of who they were when they started to forget. You can't be around people who drain your energy, who pull you down, who laugh at your vision and expect to keep going strong. You need a circle that makes you believe in your future even when you're doubting yourself. Think about it. When you're tired, when you're worn out, when you're one step away from giving up, that one voice of encouragement can change everything. That one reminder that you've got what it takes can put fuel in your tank when you thought you were running on empty. And the opposite is true too. When you're barely holding on, one negative word, one doubt-filled conversation, one toxic person can push you right over the edge and convince you to quit. That's why who you keep around you matters more than you realize. You ever notice how winners attract winners, champions hang around champions? Oh, it's not because they don't like other people. It's because they know the environment matters. If you're training for a marathon, you don't hang around people who don't even like walking. If you're trying to start a business, you don't spend your nights with people who complain about how the world is unfair and then do nothing about it. If you're trying to build something great, you need people who think big, talk big, and work big. Their energy will spill over onto you. Their habits will influence your habits. Their discipline will sharpen your discipline. And before you know it, you'll start rising to the level of the people you surround yourself with. But here's the part most people miss. Sometimes the hardest part of this journey isn't finding the right people, it's letting go of the wrong ones. And I get it, that's tough. It's tough when the people you've known for years, the people you grew up with, the people you've always called your friends, they're not moving in the direction you're going. It's hard to separate yourself. It's hard to say no to the invitations. It's hard to feel like you're leaving people behind. But listen to me, if they're not willing to grow with you, if they're not willing to support you, if they're not willing to respect your grind, then you're not leaving them behind. They're leaving them behind. They're leaving themselves behind. Because anybody who truly loves you and truly wants to see you win will not resent your growth. They will celebrate it. When life gets hard, you need encouragers. You need truth tellers. You need people who see your potential and refuse to let you settle for less